Hello there, this is Michael Aragon, the anime critic. Anime Shmanimay, I review it. Now, the thing about this is the very first episode of my anime critique show. And it being the first episode, I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite animes of all time. And even though it may be one of my favorites, it's almost considered one of the most overrated animes of all time as well. And that anime is called Dragonball Z.
Dragonball Z. Dragon, come,
Now that we got that out of the way, let's do a little history on the series known as Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball actually started around the early 80s as a comic book, and it was made by Akira Toriyama. Right there, Akira Toriyama. And let me tell you, once I read Dragon Ball, I was hooked. It's got great comedy, great action, lovable characters. The thing about Dragon Ball is it's got everything that you want in a great manga and a great anime shows. It's got comedy, action, and everything. It's quite it's quite an achievement in what it was trying to do, and and it's just basically a really good starter anime, I should say. A very good starter. It's something to get you into anime. Definitely Dragon Ball would be a recommendation. Sailor Moon's definitely a recommendation. Anything like that, those mainstream ones would definitely get you into it. Now, for Dragon Ball Z, once Dragon Ball is basically about how Goku was much younger than he was now, and he eventually, toured the world and fought different bad guys. And I think that might be the reason why Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z have become so popular, is because with each episode comes a new villain and a new scenario. And trust us, when we say there's a lot of villains in this show, oh yeah, there's a lot of villains in this damn show. Like, let's see. Oh yes, like the main villain, Frieza, right over here.
And after Image.
Oh, and to another further extent, the other few villains that I have are, the ones that are my personal favorites actually, are the androids. The androids consist of very few of them. Android 17 is the male character with the black long hair and scarf around his neck, and Android 18 is the blonde chick with the striped apparel and such other ripped clothes. Android 16 is the big bulky Arnold Schwarzenegger looking thing, and Dr. Gero is the one who's the older man who created them and wants to take over the world.
Yes. I see. But he was of a different design than 18 or myself. He was an energy-absorbing model.
Ah, and my next and final favorite is Cell. Or should I just say Perfect Cell. He is basically a combination of all the greatest fighters in the world. He's made up of all the cells of the greatest fighters in the world, that is. And he was created by Dr. Gero to absorb the other androids to become the strongest fighter in the world. And finally, to a lesser extent, and probably not one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z villains, is Majin Buu. He is pretty much a creation of Babidi, who is an old, decrepit old wizard who decided to make this unstoppable fighter. But in the end, yeah, I think you know what happens. Oh, God, do I hate him. Anyway, now that we're done with the main villains of the show that made it so hot, now let's get to the characters that made the show what it is. The first one, obviously, our main character, is Goku. Now, Goku is basically, he was a space alien who came from the planet, well, from the planet King Vegeta. He eventually landed on Earth, got amnesia when he clunked his head on a rock, and then eventually got older, fought different villains, married Chi-Chi, and had a boy by the name of Gohan. Cute little bastard, ain't he? Now here is Krillin, who's been Goku's friend since he was little, and when he was training with Master Roshi. Yeah, this little perverted little bastard over here. And to a lesser extent, there's Yamcha and Tien, who are a bunch of lunkheads who like to, train a lot and nothing else. But of course, Dragon Ball Z couldn't be the same without my second favorite female character lead. The other one being Android 18, this one being Bulma Briefs. Yes, Bulma Briefs, who was the first person to meet up with Goku when he was younger. Probably the first human he ever saw. She works at Capsule Corporation with her father, Dr. Briefs, and has been working there ever since, and eventually married Vegeta.
No time to lose! We've got a big emergency here! Hurry!
And last but certainly not least, my favorite character in the whole Dragon Ball Z universe, Vegeta. Man, look at that badass motherfucker. He'll rip you in two. Yes, Vegeta has a reputation of being rivals with Goku, to being the greatest Saiyan ever lived, or the prince of all Saiyans, and also the one who wanted to really become Super Saiyan once he saw Goku. Jealousy is his drug.
Just as I thought, you're nothing.
And to a lesser extent, but a very important character nonetheless, is Trunks Briefs. Right here. Trunks Briefs. And that's Gohan when he gets older. Now this one, History of Trunks, is basically telling the story of how Trunks became who he was. In the future, he came from the future where everything was destroyed by the androids. So what he does is he goes back in time before Frieza comes back to destroy Goku once and for all. He kills Frieza and his father, King Cold, and eventually is the bearer of bad news to Goku to tell him that the androids are coming. And he grows up to be a very fantastic character, a very likable character that is, and and the future has changed because of him. I really give kudos to Trunks for the whole change in the Dragon Ball Z trend. But yeah, there's a lot of characters in this damn thing. To tell you the truth, I personally don't think the show was just because of the characters or the villains, the new villains that came up that made this show popular. I think the number one reason that this show was popular was because of this. You can't touch your soul. You can't touch Oh yeah, it's all about the fighting, baby. I think that's basically what this show is. It's basically all about the fighting, and the explosions, and the fist fighting, and the fastness of it. Everything's just crazy about this anime, and I think that might be the reason why it's so popular, and yet so overrated. Well, I'm very glad that you were here to watch me insult this anime, or more, vitalize it. I don't know what you would call it, but yes, Dragon Ball Z is definitely a very entertaining show, very overrated in some aspects, but still quite enjoyable. I would give this series a 3 out of 5. Well, that's the end of my show. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time I'll be reviewing one of my favorite animes known as Tenshimuyo. I'm the anime critic. Anime Shmanimay. I review it. Peace out.